In lessons 1 through 1.5, we set up the contextual framework for developing MTSS systems for your school. Now we will explore what steps are necessary to implement your school's MTSS systems. The first step in implementing MTSS in your school is to look at what your data is telling you. Looking at your data will help you identify what student intervention needs are and what level of tiers of support the intervention should focus on. When you look at your data, understanding the distribution of students among the tiers of instruction is critical in developing the corrective steps you will take to support struggling students. If most of your students' testing data show they are 80% proficient, the number of students needed additional to support is relatively low. The lower number of students needed to intervene is less impactful on your master schedule and less of a drain on your resources. Unfortunately, most often schools we don't see 80% proficiencies often. Knowing how many students need interventions helps you and your team plan accordingly to develop structures of support. When choosing a model or building-wide system of support for your students, you begin with identifying the student need, which by the numbers and intensity of interventions needed will influence your staffing needs. Finally, student staffing needs will influence your overall master schedule. Often schools make the mistake of trying to make MTSS fit into their existing academic structures. This course of action almost always fails. You need to instead build a schedule that facilitates your desired outcomes with your robust MTSS system. As you consider your intervention structures, it's important to take a step back first and evaluate the overall effectiveness of your core. If a very few students are proficient, you need to address the deficiencies in your core program first. I know that we've talked about this a few times now in the past few lessons, but I can't emphasize how critical it is to make sure that you're not trying to intervene your way out of a poor core. An ineffective core cannot be overcome by interventions alone. With the understanding you can't intervene your way out of a poor core, it's time to identify the interventions you need. Your data will tell you the deficiencies among your student body. Use resources like What Works Clearinghouse, PBIS.org, and the RTI Action Network to research what interventions best fit the student deficiencies your data revealed. As mentioned earlier in our lessons, bring your staff together and brainstorm what interventions you already have within the building. Identify your experts, and then look at these websites and see if there's some interventions that you could use to fill in some of the gaps. As you consider the potential interventions you could use in your building, think about the following questions. As you think about interventions, what staff do you have that can support these intervention efforts? Do you have a reading specialist or special education staff whom have an expertise in interventions? And are there partners at a university or local ISD RESA that can support your pursuit of intervention strategies? Definitely reach out and use all resources that you can in addition to those websites. There's a lot of expertise in our state in recent years, and definitely try to tap into that.